Hi everyone, I'm back again to take you to another offbeat, quirky and interesting tourist attraction. Today is part 2 of my Valentines Park vlog. Remember to hit like, remember to hit subscribe and click on that notifications bell. Come and take a walk in my shoes, and in this part I will be showing you where the 2011 series of the Great British Bake Off was filmed. I will show you where the moon once hung big and proud over a kitchen garden lawn, and I will tell you how Ilford got its name. I will see you in the video. Welcome back to part 2 of my Valentines Park vlog. I'm in the kitchen garden, and in 2021 the travelling exhibition The Museum of the Moon came here for a few days. It was an inflatable installation and was 7 metres high. Look, here are the moonbeams at dusk, and here's the moon after dark. The moonbeams were wonderful, their costumes changed colour. I have to say I would not want their job. I would be either sacked or hospitalised within 5 seconds. Me and stills do not go together, although I like my high heels. It's a little known fact that the Great Vine of Hampton Court Palace was propagated from a cutting taken from this very garden. Here is a picture of it. We went in September though, when it was looking a bit bald as the grapes had just been harvested. I do love this garden wall. It has an almost medieval feel. It's not though, it was modern and created during the 2007 to 2008 restoration. Here I'm looking through this slit through the long water side. Bands often play in the garden in the summer months. The Gardener's Cottage Cafe is at the other end of the kitchen garden. They make a mean cream tea. We're now heading into the Old English garden, and here is one of my favourite features, and that's the sundial. It's looking rather sad though. It's been vandalised yet again. This is what it used to look like. Ilford has its fair share of scum, but then I suppose anywhere does. Lovely gazebo in the centre. As you can imagine, looks a lot different in summer. It's April though, and spring has definitely sprung. Now the last time I came here this was dry with a piece of chewing gum, dried up chewing gum sitting at the bottom of it. Now it's full of water and looks slightly better. Well, we did have a stormy night last night. I'm loving the colour of the pink blossom up against the wall. Look at that, I just had to hone in on it. We're now going through into the rose garden, but to me this garden's more about lavender. It grows here in rows, and in the summer it grows so high that it almost covers its path, and you have to duck your way between bumblebees to get through. Put it this way, if you're scared of bees, don't walk down here in August. Lovely gazebo. Here's the South Lawn, and the 2011 version of the Great British Bake Off was filmed here. I remember walking past the tent. It was the first time I'd ever visited the mansion, and I saw Sue Perkins propped against one of the benches. Later on, after I left the mansion, I went round the back of the tent to the small bit where Paul Can't Keep It in His Pants Hollywood and Mary Berry do their summing up to name the star baker of the day. I made an effort to watch the programme and saw a flash of purple and black that I recognised as myself go past the window. Little things please little minds and all that. The owl sculpture is by Marshall Lambert, a chainsaw artist from Natural Garden Sculptures. He dates from 2019. To the right is the Dovecote, which was built between 1740 and 1760. It used to house both doves and pigeons. Here is the front of Valentine's Mansion. Now, it wasn't always the front. The front used to be round what we now know as the back. This is a porte cochere, and a porte cochere is a covered entrance large enough for vehicles to pass through. It was added in the 1810s by Charles Welsted, the owner at the time. The part to the right is the kitchens. It was in the 1810s that they were joined to the main house. Up until then, they'd stood separately due to the risk of fire. As we walk around, let me tell you a bit of history of the house. The house was built circa 1696 for Elizabeth Tillotson and her family after her husband, the Archbishop of Canterbury, died. The house has changed hands many times since then. In the 1720s, Robert Sermon, a city merchant and banker, bought the estate. It was during this time that the Dovecote, grottos and gardens were created. In the 1760s, owner Sir Charles Raymond renovated the house, giving it its Georgian appearance, and spent a part of his fortune in doing so. In 1906, the last private resident of the house, Sarah Ingleby, died. In 1912, the council acquired the house. The house was then used as a home for wartime refugees, a hospital, a public health centre, and a council housing department. In 2009, after standing empty for 15 years, the house and gardens were restored, following Redbridge Council and Heritage Lottery funding. I'm going to stand and gaze up at the balcony now. Behind that is a drawing room where you can get married, and beneath that is where the original entrance would have stood. Events do take place on this lawn. I've been to see Romeo and Juliet before. It was a comedic performance by a troupe called Odd Socks, and it was great fun. The only thing I hated about it was having to sit on the ground on a blanket for a few hours. I got a very numb jacksie. Now, this concrete part would have housed a conservatory at one point. Valentine's Mansion is considered a work in progress, so I wonder if they're going to rebuild that part. Maybe they are. The perimeter housed a ha-ha. Now, a ha-ha is a ditch with a wall. It's designed to keep animals either in or out without obscuring the view. It's called a ha-ha because of its surprise element. You don't know it's there until you see it, or maybe fall into it. The house was closed on this day. I think I got this wrong in part one. I mentioned that the mansion was open Mondays and Tuesdays. It's not. According to their website, it's open Sundays, Mondays, and Wednesdays. It's certainly worth a look. There were people around, though, coming in and out of the mansion. I assume that they work there. We're now walking into the glade, over the bridge, over the ha-ha. Odd Socks made a bit of a mistake the first time they had their production. They housed the stage in such a way that it was possible to stand out here on the path and go up over the fence and see the performance without paying a penny. The next time they held something like that, this little mistake had been amended. Do check out my blog. I will always be a writer before anything else. This is a very large park. It's 130 acres. That's 52 hectares in size. It houses a variety of trees, including tulip trees, Scots pine, limes, horse chestnuts, cedars of Lebanon, and large yuccas, as well as many manicured shrub beds. Wildlife abounds in the park. When I was there, I saw pigeons, ducks, geese, swans, lapwings, bumblebees, the ubiquitous squirrels, and of course rats. Right down at the end of the picture, you can make it a children's playground, and behind that Valentines Park cafe. They do some reasonably priced snacks in there. Here we have another entrance to the park, and this one's advertising the fun fair that is currently in place on Melbourne Field. As I walk around here, I have had to keep my camera towards the hedge as there were kids around, and YouTube doesn't like pictures of kids. There's a path going off to the right of here, and to the right of that, there is a cricket pitch right down here and a scoreboard. It's often in use, but we're not going down there today. Instead, we're walking past the tennis courts, which have recently been refurbished. Do I play? No. I can't throw, catch, or hit a ball. I was slung out of PE at school once for being useless. I'm glad these courts are here, though, for those who do want to take part. Beyond this is an outdoor gym. I once spent about a minute on the cross trainer, but I was too uncoordinated for that. I did give the treadmill a go and nearly fell flat on my face on the metal rollers. I have never been inside a gym and never will be. Why anyone wants to do prescribed exercise looking at the sweaty crack of the person in front of them is beyond me. The world is one big gym. I would rather spend my money on going for a day out, walking 20,000 steps or even 30,000 steps and seeing something new, gaining a new experience. Each to their own, though. We're now heading towards a very interesting wishing well, and we have the boating lake behind that. This was built in 1972, this wishing well. And look, it has no water. The Schrodinger's wishing well, is it or is it not a wishing well? It does have a can of Monster Energy drink in it though. How nice. Some people obviously don't know what bins are for. I'm going to head back now to one of my favourite parts of the park, and that's the bandstand. It's not in use and has been looking rather derelict of late, but I believe they are making an effort to refurbish it. They've covered the cracked railings with some murals, and they've planted some beautiful flowers here. The plaque is dedicated to the people in the borough who died of COVID during the pandemic. The gate is locked at the top of the stairs. I have kind of sidled past it though and crept onto the bandstand. I didn't on this day. I hope they do refurbish it. It would be lovely to see it in use again. This shelter appeared to be in use. There were people meeting here, having teas and coffees. It was erected by the Ilford Chamber of Commerce and Friends, where one of its members, Corporal H. Colin, was killed in action in World War One. It says here that it was erected in 1917. I had to go back and check though. It did look quite neat and tidy, so I thought, maybe it's more modern than that, and was actually erected in 2017. But now I was right first time. It's just been looked after. Here we have the boating lake. The boats weren't running on this day, but you can hire them for an hour or half an hour. I have been on one. It's good fun and worth a go. I've also stood here many years back and fed the ducks bread. We now know that we shouldn't do that. There's a sign there saying that ducks do not like bread. It is not good for them. They're to have sliced grapes, birdseed, rice, oats, and frozen peas. We're heading towards the clock tower now. It dates from 1899 and was built by East End builder William Peter Griggs. He also built the drinking fountain at the other end of the boating lake. You often get the odd wino here chilling out with his special brew. Today there was no one here though, obviously having the day off. I have never known the clock here to work. Not once. A view down the lake. Before I take you to my favourite part of the park. All the bodies of water you see on the park are offshoots of the River Roding. I think I like this because you've got the wilderness here juxtaposed with the main road and urban life. Now, Ilford means ford over the Hyle. A ford is a shallow place where a river or stream can be crossed by wading. Hyle is an old Celtic name for the River Roding. It means a trickling stream. This looks rather stagnant. It wasn't stinky though. I don't know if I can remember ever seeing this fountain working. I'm now taking you to a weir. I wish I still had the sound for this. I originally spoke as I was walking around, but I wasn't pleased with the results, so I took the sound off and I'm dubbing over it. You'll often be able to see my notes flicking up to the left-hand side of the screen. I was attempting to multitask and failing because I'm no good at it. Here, I'm trying my hardest not to fall in. But next time I will try and do some talking and walking and some dubbing over and even some speaking to the camera. The brown building here was once a public quasi. I don't think it is anymore. Last final view of the water. Now, I'm not sure what the cottage here is used for. Maybe it was once the park ranger's cottage. Maybe it was once the gardener's cottage. I don't know. I don't think it's lived in nowadays. It doesn't look that inviting. But I always see cars parked outside. So maybe it's an administrative hub. Quirky trees here, like this one that's sleeping. I do love this cute one. It reminds me of a stumpy Christmas tree. And you have busy Cranbrook Road in the background with its red buses. Yes, this is one of my favourites in the park. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to check out part 1. You might also enjoy watching my Valentine's Mansion vlog. I will leave the links on the last page. Here I am leaving the park through the same gate which I entered through. Thank you for watching. Come and see me soon for another miscellaneous adventure. Remember to hit like, hit subscribe and click on the notifications bell. Ta-ta for now.